Welcome back to Ida's History. I'm Emilio Lopez, and if you'll join me today, we'll be talking about the Oath of Herotti and no crying aloud in the barbershop. Let's go! So here we see the Oath of Herotti, made in 1784 by French artist Jacques-Louis David. The figures and objects in this piece represent and symbolize many different things. For example, we see three brothers pledging allegiance to their father, who represents France. The painter made the boys that are pledging allegiance soldiers who grasp each other tight to represent the unity of soldiers who fight for their country. We also see women on the lower right who are supporting each other as they know that their sons and husbands that will flee to protect their country are most likely to never return to their loving and family arms. This piece was created to be admired in the Salon of France so that David's work could diffuse his symbolic interpretations to all. This piece was made for a public space for the same reason. This work reflects political and cultural ideologies by portraying a style that had been washed over by the previous Rococo period that occurred right before this piece. It shows less bright and sexual overtoning features than the Rococo period, but keeping it in par with idealistic features of French art. Before this piece was created, Rococo art was the dominant art that was presented in French salons, and this revolutionary painting introduced symbolism into paintings without the representations being of complete phallic indulgences. Now, let's jump back into the TARDIS and travel to a more modern time. No Crying Aloud in the Barbershop was made in 1994 by Puerto Rican artist Pippin Osario. There are many figures and objects in the work that represent many things, but all center around one thing: breaking the sexist stereotypes in male barbershops. Osario, growing up, was trained as a socialist, so he did this very well. To make the barbershop more open to men and women, Osario installed barbershop chairs, action figures, and phallic symbols, but he also painted pictures of roses and made every wall pink, which was a slandering of masculinity in the perspective of some of the public. This work was created as a very controversial piece for Osario's part, but was also commissioned by Real Art Ways, or RAW, from Hartford, Connecticut. This organization ordered, in collaboration with Osario, of course, a controversial piece that dealt with many sexist and homophobic stereotypes. This piece was created for a public space so that Osario's viewpoint on sexist and homophobic stereotypes were not only able to be seen by his commissioner, but also to the public's eyes. The work reflects a cultural view of history and social tradition in two ways. One by totally contradicting society's views on a purely masculine setting and a purely female setting. The action figures and baseballs in a floral pink room, according to society, speaks for itself. And two, by including the Puerto Rican flag in many aspects of the barbershop. You see, although being a United States territory, Puerto Ricans are not allowed to vote, so the inclusion of his flag represents his cry to society's false sanctions or even stereotypes of the Puerto Rican community. Thank you for joining Ida's History. Have a nice day.